Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on. I know this movie has already been out for a month at this point, and yet I'm only getting to reviewing it now. Well, you guys know I do tend to be a bit late with some of these movie reviews. But like, see, the thing is, this movie did come out, March 21st in Ireland, but I actually didn't go to see it opening weekend because, quite frankly, I just wasn't really that interested in, actually going to check it out because honestly, I really just have not been a fan of the majority of Disney's live action remakes. Um, and yeah, this Snow White remake definitely didn't look, anything different, and not to mention, long before the movie was even out, there has already been like a good bunch of controversies. I'm sure plenty of you are already aware of. All the stuff like with Rachel Zegler's comments on the movie, and also the fact that her and Gal Gadot are in it, and kind of their conflicting views on the conflict with Israel and Palestine. Not to mention also like the stuff with the dwarves and how they weren't going to be casting, like actual little people to play the dwarves. Yeah, it seems as though there was just like a bunch of controversy with this movie before it even released. And like when this film came out on opening weekends, like I did see a fair few people saying that they liked it, but I saw some people saying that they didn't like it as well, and it overall did get a pretty kind of negative response, mostly from critics, like getting only a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, and on IMDb, this movie actually has a score of a 1.6 out of 10. That's right, the movie only has a 1.6. Like, I'm pretty sure that's one of the lowest scores for, like, any movie on IMDb. But yeah, honestly, in general, I really just wasn't all that interested in checking it out, so I just didn't really bother to give this a watch on opening weekend, so I ended up just going to see The Alto Knights and Y2K. Of course, another movie with Rachel Zegler. What happened was yesterday, as of the day I'm recording this review, which the day I'm recording this is April 17th. The previous day, I actually did go to see the film because there wasn't really a whole lot for me to really do yesterday, and like I don't know, my mom just suggested that we go and watch the film, so I was just like, alright, whatever. And plus, like, there wasn't really that much else in that I'd already seen or I had much interest in watching, so I was just like, yeah, okay, fine, let's give this a watch. But anyway, so I saw the movie there for myself yesterday, as of me recording this review. So now having seen Snow White for myself, what did I think of it? Well, okay, so let me just make some things clear. Do I think the movie is terrible? Honestly, no. Do I think the movie deserves to have a 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb? Honestly, no. Like, just be clear, I did not like this movie that much, but I wouldn't say it's that bad. Like, it's definitely not, 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb that bad. Like, hell, I don't even think this is the worst of the live action remakes. Remember the Little Mermaid remake that came out there? God, nearly 2 years ago now. Honestly, I thought that movie was even worse. I mean, to be fair, I actually haven't watched the Little Mermaid remake since I saw it in 2023, but I honestly thought that movie was even worse than this film. To be fair, it's mainly because I just really did not enjoy that Little Mermaid remake when I watched it. But yeah, there have been worse remakes, to be fair. Like, also the Mulan remake. That movie was way worse than Snow White. So yeah, by no means do I think this is an absolutely, god-awful movie or one of the worst films ever made or nothing like that. But with that being said though, yeah, this is still overall just a pretty bland, just kind of boring waste of time, honestly. But anyway, getting into my actual thoughts on the film. First off, the cinematography actually isn't too bad. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there actually is some decent shots in this film. Like, particularly kind of some of these shots, like when she's actually in the forest and we have all these woodland creatures around the place. Like, to be fair, I actually do think some of the cinematography in there is actually pretty nice, and it can be visually pleasing to look at. Well, at least during those scenes anyway. Some of the other kind of shots in the movie, for the most part, are kind of just, decent, like nothing extraordinary or anything, but I think overall it's a competently shot movie, with kind of mainly some of the scenes in the forest kind of being the highlights in terms of the way the movie's shot, but there's nothing here that I would say is extraordinary, so overall it's kind of just, decent. In terms of the film's editing, the editing isn't horrible or anything, but there's kind of just not really anything, special to say about it. Like, the editing in this movie overall is kind of just, okay. Like, It's not great. It's not terrible or anything. Some of the songs aren't too bad with how their edges is, but like, overall, there's just not really like anything that special to say about the editing in this. Like, I've certainly seen worse editing in some of the other remakes, but yeah, this isn't really anything extraordinary, so yeah, overall, the editing in this movie is just fine. Now one thing that I honestly do have a bit of an issue with is the pace. Now, I gotta say, the pace in this movie is quite uneven. Like the movie overall has a runtime of an hour and 49 minutes, so thankfully, at the very least, it's not too long compared to some of the other remakes. Like, at the very least, it's not like over 2 hours long like some of the other remakes are, but like, even then though, like, the movie just kinda seems to have really uneven pacing. Like, there are some scenes, particularly during the film's opening, that feel like they just happen way too quickly. Like, in the opening minutes of the film, we have, like, this whole monologue kind of explaining, like, everything that's kind of happening, kind of the basis of the story. And it really feels like the movie is just quickly going through it and stuff, and it just kind of feels like it's going through it all a bit too quickly. As we kind of start going through the movie a bit more, then the movie will actually start to drag a bit at times. Like, there are some scenes in this movie that feel like they go on for longer than they need to. Like, we just have these scenes where these characters are just, talking, and there's just a bunch of this kind of little stuff happening, and yeah, the movie just takes too long with it and stuff, and it's like, you just kind of start getting a bit bored of it, and you're like, okay, can we move on now? Like, yeah, to be honest, I found the pace in this movie to be very uneven, so yeah, the pace in this movie was not great. In terms of the sound and music, I think the score in the movie is kind of just fine, to be honest. Like, there actually is one or two kind of little decent tracks at times, but for the most part, it's nothing that you haven't heard before. It's nothing like absolutely extraordinary or anything. And in terms of the film's songs, because with this being a Disney remake, obviously they're gonna have song numbers in this. Like, we do have, a few songs from the original movie, like Hi Ho and Whistle While You Work, and like, they're not terrible renditions or anything, but I just wasn't really able to enjoy them that much. And even like a lot of the new songs that are made for this version, honestly, most of them just aren't that memorable to me. Like, really, the only song in this that I actually did kinda like was Waiting on a Wish. I will admit, that song was actually okay. Like, it's actually not that bad of a song, and plus, Rachel Zegler can genuinely sing. But like, yeah, for the most part, the sound and music in this film just really wasn't anything that was, that extraordinary to me. Now, in terms of the characters and the acting, starting off with the main protagonist herself, Snow White. Like, Snow White as a character in this movie, like, I can relatively appreciate the fact that, they kind of do try to give her some sort of an arc as a character in this, but I don't know, I just wasn't really able to care for it that much. Now, like, I'll admit, in terms of the performance from Rachel Zegler, now, obviously, I know that she is quite controversial with, plenty of the comments that she made regarding the remake, but in fairness to her though, she actually does do a solid job in the movie. Like, for what it's worth, I actually think she does genuinely carry the film. I thought she was actually solid in this, even if her character wasn't the best. Honestly, I don't really have much to say about a lot of the other characters. Like, she does have a love interest in this movie named Jonathan, who is, like, essentially this movie's version of the prince, even though in this version he's technically not a prince, he's this leader of a group of bandits. Jonathan as a character though, I just really did not care for him or his relationship with Snow White. Like, I mean, his actor tries, but I really don't think he was given much to work with. Yeah, I just did not care for his character that much, and this other group of bandits that he's with, I really did not care for them as characters, but like, how was I actually supposed to? Because, I'll be honest, the bandits really don't have anything interesting to do in this movie, and I'm pretty sure most of them don't even get any lines of dialogue. Like, I think there's only one of them who actually does get to do anything important, that being the one short person. Other than that, they were just nothing characters, to be honest. And then there's the actual dwarves themselves, and I gotta be honest, like, I just could not get with the dwarves as characters. Like, I just really didn't like them as characters. I didn't find any of them, like, charming or funny or anything, but really, whenever they were on screen, all I was really thinking about was just how creepy they looked. Like, if you've seen the dwarves, like, they actually look genuinely creepy. Like, oh, honestly, I'm actually kind of surprised that there wouldn't be more children that would actually be, like, maybe a little freaked out to watch the movie just because of the dwarves, because honestly, the dwarves are just genuinely a bit freaky looking, honestly. I mean, to be fair, the visuals in this movie, for the most part, aren't too bad. Like, I mean, some of the background forest designs actually do look pretty nice, and I do like the look of, like, some of these, like, little woodland creatures and stuff. Like, it's actually not that bad visually of a movie for the most part, but the dwarves are just so freaky looking, honestly. But yeah, they're creepy designs aside, I just didn't care for them as characters. And then there's our villain of the movie, the evil queen. And oh boy, yeah, I just really did not like the evil queen as a villain in this. Like, I mean, I gotta say, the performance from Gal Gadot in this movie, like, I'll be honest, like, I really do not like Gal Gadot as a person with her, like, being a former IDF member and all that. I don't want to get, like, too political on my channel, but if you're aware of the whole conflict and stuff, you probably know and stuff, but, like, honestly, I've begun to realize that I actually just do not like her as an actress either, because, oh boy, her performance in this as the evil queen, it's actually funny to watch, to be honest, with how bad she is in this movie. I think pretty much everyone agrees that, like, her performance in this movie is genuinely so bad. Yeah, oh boy, she was just embarrassingly bad in this. So yeah, overall, the characters and the acting were really nothing special. Rachel Zegler aside, yeah, this was just overall a waste of talents here from some of these actors, and, like, yeah, there was just nothing special really here. In terms of the plot of the movie, like, it does do the typical kind of Snow White story. Well, except they do kind of try to make her a bit more of a heroine in this version, and they don't, like, have her fall in love with a prince, but rather the leader of a group of bandits and stuff. But, like, and, like, they do also have her, like, actually confronting the queen and stuff. Like, I noticed they definitely do kind of try to change some things up from the original movie, kind of trying to make it a bit more of, like, a modern retelling and stuff. But, like, I'll be honest though, my main problem with, like, the plot of this movie is that I just found it so bland. Like, honestly, this movie is just kind of boring for the most part. Like, I genuinely just really didn't care for anything, going on in this film. Like, none of the stuff with Snow White or the dwarves or the bandits or the evil queen. I just really didn't care, honestly. I didn't, like, hate much about the film, but, like, how really can I? There's not really that much to hate in the movie. Like, to be honest, this movie is really just a very kind of bland and frankly boring remake and stuff. And Yeah, oh god, this movie's just kind of boring. Like, I know a lot of us probably expected it to be terrible, and I know the 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb would have you believe that and stuff. This movie is not terrible. Like, trust me, this movie is not as bad as what the IMDb scores would have you believe, but it's really just a very kind of bland remake. Like, by no means is it the worst of the Disney remakes, but there's just really not much in here for me to hate on that much because it's just kind of boring, honestly. So yeah, I really don't have much to say about the plot other than that, and in terms of the film's narrative structure, like, we have kind of these different subplots. We have the main plot with Snow White, and we have other stuff going on, like with the bandits, with the dwarves and stuff. But I just really do not care for any of it, to be honest. And like, even like the stuff with the evil queen, I didn't care for any of that either. Like, honestly, I just didn't really care all that much for anything happening in the movie. And like, even then, the movie really is not very funny. Like, I was not laughing at like any of the jokes in this. The only times I was laughing was from how like bad Gal Gadot was in this, but like, other than that, this movie was just a really boring film, and obviously not the worst of the Disney remakes, but still just quite a bad film. Again, not a terrible one, but really just a very boring Disney remake. So I don't have much to say about the narrative structure, honestly. Yes, overall, Snow White is definitely not the worst Disney remake that I've seen, but it is for the most part just a very boring film. Like, don't get me wrong, there is some solid stuff in here. Like, the cinematography is decent. I think Rachel Zegler does a good job carrying the movie. I did enjoy like one song in this, but really, other than that, this movie was just kind of a boring film, honestly. Like, I didn't really care for that much going on in it, and I didn't care for the characters, and the acting wasn't great either, and not to mention the pacing was just very uneven. Like, it's definitely not the worst Disney remake that I've seen, but yeah, it is just, at the end of the day, a very bland film. It may not be the terrible movie that many of us expected or IMDb would have you believe it is, but really, at the end of the day, it is just another Disney remake that I just don't care for. Like, maybe you will enjoy this, like, if you actually can appreciate the remakes, or like, if like maybe your kids might enjoy it or something, then maybe you might get something out of this, but overall, I just didn't care that much for this one. So, with all that said, I'm going to give Snow White a 4 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.